Okay, can somebody please explain to me why all this porn is making me want to vomit?
Those were up, and they did.
We're smart, and my...
He told me enough.
No, I.
Here's Chuck.
Hey everyone, it's Don G. Corleone here, and I am here with a brand new epic rant. And this epic rant is going to be for a 2012 horror film. And what kind of horror film, you ask? Well, it's of several genres. And you know what that means if it's several genres? That means it's one of several ideas in several segments. Yeah. An anthology horror film is what they call that. And, well, you'll hear my thoughts on anthology horror films after I announce what the name of this movie is, but it's made by a company called Magnet Releasing, of course, obviously. And that film was going to be for none other than 2012 or 2013, whatever year you want to prefer. This movie came out. The ABCs of Death, which is honestly a really stupid title, or maybe it's not, or maybe it is, but this was directed by 26 directors. And to name some of them I can remember: Adam Wingard, Simon Barrett, Jason Eisner. What else can I think of? A lot of directors. Director of Hitman. Just 26 people. 26 loads of directors. As this is an anthology, so loads of directors made this. So what's the plus? Well, the ABCs of Death is this ambitious anthology film featuring 26 segments directed by over 24 of the world's leading talents in contemporary genre film. And inspired by the children's educational ABC books, the motion picture is comprised of 26 individual chapters, each helmed by a different director assigned a letter of the alphabet. And directors were given free rein in choosing a word to create a story involving death. Provocative, shocking, apparently supposed to be funny, and ultimately confrontational. The ABCs of Death is a definite snapshot of the diversity of modern horror. Drafthouse Films make the pictures, and Timson Films are proud to present the alphabetical arsenal of destruction, orchestrated by what Fangoria called a stunning roll call of some of the most exciting names of horror across the world. Yeah, some of the most exciting names of horror. Despite the fact that a lot of these directors have done some shitty movies. Great. But yeah, it's this 2012 American comedy horror anthology film produced by international producers and directed by filmmakers around the world. It has 26 shorts, and all spanning from 15 different countries. And these directors are Nacho Vigalondo, Carl Andrews, Anna Wingard, Simon Barrett, Ben John Pisan Dokanen, Ben Wheatley, Lee Hardcastle, Roberto Egwe, Timo Tiho, I forget to pronounce his last name, but his first name begins with Timo. Ty West, again, and Angela Badiz. And well, after all 26 directors filmed their shorts, submitted them to this whole concept, and they combined those shorts together, the ABCs of Death then premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival in 2012, and then it got released onto VOD, Video on Demand, on January 31st, 2013, and in a limited release theaters March 8th, 2013. And the end credits of the film feature Australian band Sidehooks' 1974 song Horror Movie. And despite the limited release for a limited horror film, it received enough decent success to launch a sequel in 2014, which I need to see, which I still need to watch. Don't know if I want to after this movie. And a spin-off, which is literally just the other half of the second movie in 2016. There was going to be a third film, but apparently, thankfully, the second movie got pirated. So thankfully, we didn't get a third one. Because now we get to my reaction. Because for my reaction, before I get into that, let me just say, I do love horror anthology. My favorite top 3 would be, for the ones I have seen, guys. For those who know any others I need to see, comment down below. My favorites are, number 1 would be Creepshow, easily the best horror anthology of all time. Creepshow rules. Trick or Treats, which I want a sequel to, and VHS 2, the sequel to the 2012 VHS, but thankfully the much better sequel, which should have been the first one. However, with this one, I heard about this one being a bunch of 26 shorts, and seemed like I wanted to check it out. Now, I know there's some YouTubers I watch who like this movie, each their own, but for those who liked this movie, that's fine. Each their own if you liked it. Just know this is my opinion, guys. Before those who liked it start criticizing me and calling me a stupid idiot for hating this movie, this is my opinion. Now anyways, watching this movie was a big mistake! Yeah, this movie was crap! Why? Because all it was just 26 scenes of filth and just like pure porn. Like it was thought of, it's like this whole concept to get these 26 directors to do these segments was thought up by some weird cracked up creep that probably tracked down all these directors to make him this porn-themed horror anthology. I mean, okay guys, I'll admit, where there are some good segments, yeah, fine. There were like 3 good segments. But even they did not save this movie. The ABC's of Death is definitely ambitious, but sadly just doesn't deliver on hardly any of its shorts. 26 directors, 26 short stories, 1 story for each letter of the alphabet. Let's just get into the problems this anthology has. Like, the tone shifts as expected, firstly, are jarring. Sometimes it'll either be comedy, sometimes it'll be gross out, it'll be shock, or it'll be straight up horror. Yeah, I'd be stupid to criticize it, considering this is a collection of 26 stories connected to the alphabet. But going from genre to genre 26 different times in a space of about 4 minutes each, it's just hard to enjoy a lot of the stories. And it makes the faults in a lot of the shorts the more prominent and obvious. Like, if you're gonna make an anthology, stick with 1 or 2 tones. If you're a horror comedy, stick with that. If you're a horror gross out, stick with that. Don't just combine blah at once and just ramble them all together and say, that's a good anthology. Complete, send it out. Stick with a tone and keep it. Oh my god. Like, even Creepshow did a better job with the horror comedy and the horror gross out anthology. Creepshow did a better job balancing tones. The first one. I haven't seen the sequels. So for those who are saying you haven't seen Creepshow 3, I haven't seen Creepshow 3 yet. So I can't say anything about Creepshow 3. And secondly, the good shorts are few and far between. And I can only remember like 3 of the shorts I saw because 1, only 3 of them were memorable, and 2, the fact there's way too many shorts just make each of them blend in all the more. It lessens the impact, and the best it means that by the time you could come to a short you like, it's too late. You've seen too many by this point to care, and so the short just becomes another letter in the alphabet. So, I don't mean this in the worst way possible for those who like the movie, but for those who are a fan of farts, miscarriages, yeah, there's a segment called F is for fart. Yeah. Poop. A human versus dog fight, which wasn't too bad. Definitely not animal cruelty like I thought it would be. Or some woman indulging in a man's crush fetish. Then perhaps this movie's perfectly made for those people. Otherwise, even the most seasoned horror fans are likely to be disappointed with this one, because despite more than 2 hours of runtime, each segment just feels like it's rushed, and unable to create anything of substance. Like, at the same time, many of the segments are just so unbearable that the next and possibly less god-awful short cannot come soon enough. Look, I am a huge tremendous horror fan, and I love I do love gross-out horror movies. Ones that are written right. Other examples of gross-out horror that get properly written are Dead Alive, or Brain Dead, the Evil Dead movies, the first 3 Evil Dead movies, Jason Goes to Hell, the unrated version, Terrifier 2. All those are better movies than the ABCs of Death. All 4 of those. Like, and I'm a proponent of creative integrity and freedom from like, whenever it comes to Hollywood's idiocy. But if this is what these directors came up with, artistic freedom, they should try another line of work. Now, when it comes to the segments I mentioned, I liked only 3 of these 26 segments. Like, each director goes for an absurd approach, and I guess they felt they couldn't do anything truly disturbing with only like 5 or 6 minutes. And instead of digging deep to produce segments that dissect death and the many tragedies that lead up to it, they just went for comedy over genre. And the only 3 segments I liked, guys, here we go. The 3 segments I liked were... Sorry, guys, I have to have my window open. What was the ones I liked? Okay. Alright. Oh, yeah. Right. Sorry, guys. Sorry, a little distracted there. Alright. The ones I liked were, right. U is for Unearthed. T is for Toilet, which I will admit was pretty... T is for Toilet was pretty funny. I actually watched that segment on YouTube long before I saw this movie. That segment's on YouTube if you want to check out that segment. And V is for Vaticus, but that was about it. Because seriously, this film was just total crap. Like, you definitely do not want to watch this if you're going to expect some good, nice story and plots. Like, only reason I watched this because I wanted to, like, check it out and maybe, like, give it a review or rant. I've already watched some pretty extreme horror films at this rate. I might as well check out this now. Like, I did manage to get through this to the end, but, like, not only does this film just feel wrong, it also just feels boring. Like, throughout nearly all these segments, save for the 3 I mentioned, I was just starting to get bored quick. And I just forced myself to finish the whole thing. I was wondering when the hell this movie was going to end. Like, just all the segments most of the segments are rubbish. I mean, the idea is nice. 26 segments consisting of a letter in the alphabet. But literally, the directors were poorly chosen because some of these directors aren't really great. Some of these films they've done were shit. Loads of the films they've done were shit. So these guys aren't really masterpieces. Like, one of the directors is the same guy who directed the 2007 film Hitman. Yeah, great. Pick a guy who directed a shitty video game adaptation and call that legendary. Two of the directors are even Adam Wingard, who directed some pretty bad horror movies I've mentioned. He directed another anthology called VHS, which was not great. Good thing of VHS was the Amateur Night segment, and that was it. Like, he didn't direct that segment though. The segment he directed was the awful wraparound about the criminals that pretty much sexually humiliate the woman and show her boobs, and then they also talk about how they want to show bums next. Yeah, and then only really good horror films Adam Wingard did were You're Next and Godzilla vs. Kong. Nothing else memorable he's done. And also that shitty Blair Witch sequel. And I'll get to more of the directors later, because the first 50 minutes too are even pretentious. Some are just too random to be even part of a horror movie. There's no suspense, there's no horror. This director is trying to show the world how creative they think they are and failing at it. Some ideas are fine. The implementation is either bad or plain disgusting. But the worst part is that, like, knowing there's like more than 20 whole scenes to go, you hope there's at least gonna be one to your liking. And the ones you like, the ones I like, don't even show up till like near the end. So, like, oh my god, but, and some of the directors have also done a few rare excellent work, like I mentioned. And if you watch this film, you understand why the things that stuck to your memory weren't the things you wish you remembered. About 80% of the film is nothing less than revolting, nauseating, and terribly disgusting. I'm not just talking about plain gore and excessive medical porn. I'm talking about things that would like to just make any sensitive person sick to their stomach. And things with very little cinematic and creative value. And another thing, like, there's even a 2D animated short in one of these called K is for Klutz. It's about a girl going for a shit in the toilet. And literally, it's her dealing with this jumping mischievous pile of poop that literally kills her by going up her bum. And that's how the segment ends. The poop goes up her bum and kills her. How am I supposed to take that seriously in a horror movie? I thought this was a horror anthology. Like, what the hell? Yeah, like, there's some, like, weird segments here. There's that. There's this one about these animal costume wearers. Like, they look like the Chuck E. Cheese models. And this dog one has this crush on this fox. It even feels like a furry made this. I've heard the premise of this movie. This could be great, like 26 different stories without a lame way of stitching them together. Just writers writing, directors directing a good horror genre for an anthology. Like, but given the subject matter, definitely, I knew this would not be some Oscar winner, but I was expecting to be entertained, scared, and horrified. But it was for all the wrong reasons. You give 26 people an opportunity to do something, and this is the crap that comes forth. And for most of the ideas, it was almost as if the criteria would create something in the horror genre that has to do with death and its preserves. But of course, it somehow can contain child molestation or just disgusting sexual acts, that's a bonus. And literally, a majority of the segments, like most of the segments, involve either pedophilia, which on child molestation, and that's for Jason Eisner's segments. Jason Eisner's segment is child molestation and pedophilia. And that was the one I was willing to check out because I love most of Jason Eisner's work. I ended up not liking his segment. Porn, rape, furry stuff, like the Chuck E. Cheese model segment I mentioned, like H is for hydroelectricity or something. The H one, that's the furry one. And even a fart segment, yeah. There's a segment called F is for farts. And it's about a girl who kills people with her farts. Yeah, I don't know how the hell you can call this a horror movie if you have some segments about either poop or farts. Or one about there's one about a miscarriage too. And that's directed by Ty West, who, by the way, guys, it's not even that memorable of a director. And he also had involvement in the same VHS anthology movie I mentioned. And his segment was the worst of all of them. And you want to know why? Because the segment he did in VHS was boring as fuck. Yeah, it was the one about that boring ass honeymoon couple where nothing went on. The one that literally hogs up half the film. The one that comes right after Amateur Night. Yeah. And the one I always skip if I ever rewatch the first VHS. Because it's so stupid. Because it's so boring and pointless. Yeah, he directed the M is for Miscarriage. Like, some of these segments, how the fuck is this allowed to be made and turned into a film? It's like whatever creep came up with this concept and got these 26 directors, probably gave them this bad crack or drugs. The dude was a little disturbed idea of an anthology. And speaking of the directors, you want to know what does not help? One of these segments, guys, is directed by the very same guy who made one of the worst horror films ever, a Serbian film. Yeah, great. When I see from the director of a Serbian film slogan on the poster, I want to avoid of any film that says that slogan, like The Plague. If it's done by a director that's that guy of all people. Apparently his segment literally involves this guy literally creating film from his skin. Oh my god. Like, I don't even want to mention that segment, but yeah. Then again, some people even like a Serbian film for some weird reason. So I guess if you're some of the few rare people that did, for some weird reason like a Serbian film, I wouldn't know why. Maybe you'll like that segment. Okay, I'm exaggerating. Here come the good qualities. And it's these 3 segments I watched. So you're wondering, why isn't this a 0 out of 10 if you didn't like this movie? Because the reason why it's a 2.5, it's a not a 0, but a 2.5 in the description, it's because of these 3 segments that actually I enjoyed. And here we go. The first good segment I liked, and these were all near the end, Tease for Toilet. Tease for Toilet is this little claymation short shot like Robot Chicken style. And it's about a child being taught how to use the toilet by his parents. And then the toilet suddenly grows teeth and eyeballs and locks the door. And it brutally kills and devours the child's parents before lunging at the child. And it's all a nightmare. And then the child decides to use the toilet for real. But a loose screw frightens him. And leads him getting his head stuck in the toilet seat. And the father literally acts like a big dick. And laughs at him being stuck in the toilet crying. And then the toilet seat comes loose. And falls and crushes the child's head. Killing the child. Thankfully, it's not a real child, it's a claymation short. And Robot Chicken can have some violent shorts. And the father screams in horror. The reason why I like this one is because it has that little nice little Adult Swim Robot Chicken feel to it with its crew design. And this is the only segment that I felt actually deserved to be funny. And that segment's on YouTube if you want to go check it out. I think it's like surprisingly for a bad anthology movie, that actually is a really good segment. Second good segment, U is for Unearth. Yeah, also from the United Kingdom. This is a second short there's 2 shorts that are shot from a point of view perspective. One about a surfer that literally just sinks in the water and that segment ends. Boring. However, this one is not. This one is shot from the point of view of a vampire that rises out of its coffin as a small mob attempts to sedate and kill it. The vampire flees, stopping to feed upon a passing woman before being taken down by a flaming arrow and knocked unconscious. And the vampire awakens as a prisoner of the mob, has its teeth pulled, the vampire itself staked, and finally its head cut off as it stares at its killers. Kind of a little similar in concept to VHS 2 segment of Ride in the Park, which was shot from the point of view of a zombie. This time, though, it's not a zombie, it's actually shot from the point of view of a vampire. And I think it's very creative. And the final good segment I liked was V is for Vaticus, aka The Cry of a Newborn Baby. This is from Canada, in New Vancouver, set in the future of 2035. Women have to petition for government to permission to bear children. A lady officer petitions for one, but discovers she is in her file, and she and her robot partner break into the city to hunt for mentals. They discover a family which Nesbitt subsequently kills, then beheads the family's baby. Yeah, a little too weird, but the lady's boss, Stoker, enters and criticizes her due to her being sympathizing with the family, and the baby's head turns out to be alive, thankfully, and it possesses some psychic power, and proceeds to blow up Stoker's head, while the dying father tells Laney that she is its mother now. Thankfully the baby doesn't die. This one I liked because it was very epic. It was just balls to the walls insanity action. These segments belong in better films. These segments are so good and they have to be in a really bad movie. However, those were the only 3 segments I liked because they're nearly the only ones, because they're the only 3. Maybe Tease for Toilet Tease for Toilet does rely on this, but not as much as some of the other segments. The only ones I liked because they didn't rely on poop or fart jokes, they didn't rely on rape, they didn't rely on molestation, or many other gross, nasty things I don't want to see. And then D's for Dogfight was fine, but the reason why it doesn't make those 3 is because D's for Dogfight should have had some more dialogue added to it. It felt like just some slow motion music video. But those were the 3 I mentioned. Those I liked. And I wish they belonged in a better movie. Maybe if I like the sequel, I'll mention they should have been in the sequel. Because, regardless of those 3 segments, the ABCs of Death should have been called the ABCs of Porn. Please never watch this if you're a horror anthology fan. You want a good anthology horror film, go watch Creepshow. That's actually a good anthology horror film, and it was 2 hours, but it actually felt developed. And the segments took the time to develop the characters, regardless if they were segments. In the end, ABCs of Death is total horseshit, and if you ever do see this movie, just only watch the toilet, Unearthed, and Vatican segments. Because those are the only good things you'll get out of this whole movie. I think they might be on YouTube. Just watch those segments on YouTube. It saves you from having to sit through this movie. This boring movie. Unless you just want really messed up, weird stuff, you'll get a joy out of this. But if not, definitely avoid it and just watch the 3 segments I liked. Anyways, that's it for my epic rant on the ABCs of Death. We're going to rank ABCs of Death. Here's how I'm going to rank this movie.
So overall, unless you want to look for furry porn or just throw up, then this is not the kind of furry porn you will enjoy watching, because it's just the kind that will make you want to kill yourself or question even your remote existence. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rank ABCs of Death, I'm going to give the ABCs of Death a 2.5 out of 10.
There we go. That wraps up my epic rant for the ABCs of Death. So what are the next reviews going to be for next week? Well, next week's reviews are going to be for the animated 1989 Little Mermaid, and then maybe the final 3 review films of the Spider-Man review series leading up to Across the Spider-Verse coming out very soon at the beginning of June. So yeah, be sure to stay tuned for those, and until then, that'll be it for this epic rant. Thank y'all for watching. If you like this, want to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe to Don G. Corleone.